It's a love story that all started on the diamond. 15 years, 11 moves, and 3 kids along the journey. As Ryan Day prepares his Buckeyes for the upcoming season, his wife rallies her own team at home. I sat down with Nina Day to talk about a life filled with family and football.
There was a note that we saved, I think I was in 7th grade, that I wrote, and I said I was going to marry Ryan, but we've always been best friends. This is Ryan, this is my twin sister Kelly, and that's me.
From T-ball sweethearts to the first lady of Buckeye football, Nina Day is a daughter, football mom, and coach's wife all in one. Married to not just a coach, but the coach in college football.
We grew up in Manchester, New Hampshire, about a mile and a half away from each other, and we went to the same elementary school, same middle school, high school, and then eventually the same college. So I've pretty much known him my whole life.
From high school prom to the University of New Hampshire, Ryan and Nina shared every phase of life together.
We dated off and on, and then once we graduated college, we just got back together, and the rest is history. There was always a comfort level with him, and we're still best friends. So I think that's the best way, a marriage can be, is you're with your best friend every day.
When did you know that Ryan was kind of destined to be a head coach?
Probably when we were on the same T-ball team at like 6 years old, and he yelled at me for picking dandelions and told me to get focused. Yeah, he's always just been a coach, like, whether it was on the playground, in elementary school, he's always been super competitive.
Nina also shared that spirit every time she would watch her QB1 at the college level.
My dad always reminds me of a story. I was watching him on TV play Northeastern, and he had 5 interceptions that game, and I was so upset, and I was crying, and then, he ended up calling me, and I foolishly asked him, like, did you know what color your team was today? And so, yeah, I've learned my lesson not to just don't say anything.
After his playing days, Ryan switched over to the sideline. But being a coach's wife comes with many stops along the way.
Within a 15-year span, we moved 11 times. And, in that time, we had 3 children. So it was a lot. But yeah, from the year we got married to probably until we got to Ohio State, it was every year or every 2 years we were moving. So it was very unstable for a long time.
A lifestyle that Nina is all too familiar with, growing up with a father who coached basketball at Southern New Hampshire University.
If I didn't have my dad, I'm not sure we'd be where we are, because he has just provided so much insight. He was a very successful Hall of Fame basketball coach back home, but he never moved. We never moved. He was at the same school for 44 years. And so when Ryan got into coaching, he really encouraged us to go after it and move and see where it took us.
After stops at Boston College, Temple University, Philly, and the 49ers, football led the Day family straight to Columbus.
But we've been now here 8 years, and my kids don't really know. They don't really remember all the moving, so I feel blessed about that. And yeah, this is home for them.
But for their oldest son, RJ, moving became somewhat of a norm.
I don't know how I did it, with babies moving every 10 months in and out of homes. And, my son, RJ, from 1st to 5th grade, he started a school in one state and ended at another school in another state. So he was in 7 different elementary schools. But it's made him much more resilient.
How does it feel watching your son RJ play quarterback at DeSales, knowing that back in the day Ryan played that same position?
Yeah, they argue every night about who was better at that age, and so I remember watching Ryan, and now I'm watching my son, and I can't convince Ryan that his son is way better than he was.
Back in college, you could always find Nina in the stands at New Hampshire. And now she does the same for her son, RJ, in his sophomore season as quarterback at DeSales High School.
I mean, literally they're best friends. They talk all the time. When RJ has any time off, he's at the Woody with his father. Loves when Ryan coaches him hard. I've never met a kid that likes to be yelled at. He does. And Ryan goes after him, you know, and they watch film together every night, and I'm trying to go to bed, so in our room. But it's just they have a love of football, and they're both football junkies, and they bond over that, and I just see RJ coaching one day, just like his dad. He's under a microscope, and he has a lot more pressure than the average 16-year-old, but he's done a great job kind of putting that aside and saying, this is who I am, and these are my dreams, and I know that, you know, who my dad is, but, you know, I'm RJ, and I give him a lot of credit for that.
The Day family may be home to one of the top college coaches in the country and the First Lady of Buckeye football, but like every other diehard fan, Nina has her own rituals, a lucky necklace that she wears to every single game. And yes, she already has it ready to go for Saturday. I just want to say thank you, Nina, for taking the time to share your family story.